What's up, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about some big data coming out for tomorrow that's important for the markets, not to mention why the many analysts are very bullish on NIO as the share prices continue to explode. But before I break into devil's information, before I talk about NIO's stock, why it's looking very bullish right now, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on uninvested cash. This offer ends in a couple of weeks, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's talk about the market. So for NIO, the daily chart's looking very, very strong, very bullish, but we're about to test some tough resistance. Our daily 200 EMA is at 5.61. We're about to test that. If we break this, we're easily going up to 6. If we reject off this, we could see a little bit of downside before it tries anything else. But as of right now, we are still looking more bullish, and we're favoring that we want to break this resistance and continue from here. So we look bullish on NIO. We're approaching some tough resistance, so we'll see how it does. And now the real question is what's going to happen tomorrow for the markets to affect this. So I want to talk more about that first. So for today, we didn't really have much data. We did have Apple's product launch events, which caused some volatility in the markets, but overall, the market remained range bound and didn't really do anything too crazy. For tomorrow, it's going to be Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Please note that in the morning we have the Business Optimism Index report, very minor data, and everything else is very minor. It's also going to be the last day until CPI comes out on Wednesday before the market opens. So CPI day is going to be very, very huge. We have one more quiet day until the data goes crazy. So get ready for that. We'll see what happens with Tuesday coming up, and we'll see what kind of data comes out. For the market sentiment, we were very fearful. We're getting closer to neutral as the market is starting to see some buyers stepping in. The market's at fear right now in terms of sentiment, but it's starting to improve. And finally, the put and call option ratio is starting to go up a little bit more as we're at these extremes. The shorts are continuing to pile in, but we'll see if we continue to get a squeeze after CPI or not, because that could change things a lot. The VIX is dipping a little bit. We're still very close to about the 20 area. We'll see how that reacts, especially after CPI. The market is currently contemplating whether the Fed's going to give us a 50 or 25 basis point cut. Right now, there's a 70% chance we get 25 basis points for the cut and about 30% chance for the 50 basis point cut. We are favoring that 25 basis point cut, so we'll see how things end up going. That's going to be very, very important for us as well. On top of this, I just wanted to mention that there's some news coming out from JP Morgan about NIO stock. They're saying it's time to jump in. I think that's a very, very incredible piece of news because of the fact that they are very, very bullish on NIO, especially as we're seeing a lot of improvements in the growth with the 144% increase year over year. And they're also up about 91% sequentially. So that's very, very great news. Also, there's some news coming out from, I believe it was Morgan Stanley that came out. They're expecting us to do over 330,000 deliveries for 2025. And for this year, NIO is expecting to get about 220,000, which means they want to do close to 100,000 for the last 4 months of the year, or very close to about 25,000 per month on average, around that. For the rest of this year. So that's a big improvement. We're expecting a very strong Q4 based off what NIO is telling us. I think that's going to be very important for us as well, especially with the new sub brands coming out. So it's very, very bullish news. The new sub brand, which is going to bring in a lot more sales. And we're starting to see a lot more analysts becoming excited about NIO. NIO stock is continuing to soar as we're seeing a lot of buyers stepping in. They're saying that their margins are improving and we're expecting some strong deliveries. So with earnings that came out better than expected with good guidance, the effect of earnings is still affecting us to this day with very positive remarks from JP Morgan and many of these different analysts. On top of this, I didn't see anything new on NIO's Twitter page. They're still talking about earnings, which they did relatively well in. But JP Morgan did give us an overweight rating from neutral. That's bullish news. On top of this, the price price ratio is going up as NIO is gaining some strength. And when it comes to seasonality, don't forget we do tend to be green about 55% of the time on Tuesdays. So it's a good amount of volatility that comes on that day with lots and lots of optimism. We also tend to see more volatility around 1 o'clock p.m. and also during the second to last hour of the trading day. So get ready for some volatility, especially at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Volume is very high at 125 million. That's a good sign. Good volume, good buyers, good growth is coming in. And that's why we're seeing the short volume dropping and overall volume is going up and more buyers are stepping in. So for NIO, going into tomorrow, we're going to be testing 5.61 as resistance. If we manage to break this, we're going up to about the $6 area. If we reject here, we could be tipping back down towards this 5.25 support. Overall, we do look more bullish, and there is a good chance to continue to push. So I do favor upside a little bit more, but we have to break this resistance just for confirmation. For Tesla stock, I didn't see too much news that came out. Their Chinese sales were better than expected. They're up about 37% relative to the previous a month. And then the year over year, their sales are a little bit down in China for the month of August. Still not too bad whatsoever. So we had a very, very sideways day today on Tesla. We're still waiting for confirmation about what's about to happen. But just to be very frank, Tesla is holding this trend line very nicely. If we end up losing our support around this 215 area, there could be a little bit of a dip coming, this 214 to 215 area. If we break past 217, we're looking for 220, then 222. So we're still just range bound, so give this the time it needs. Overall, Tesla's doing a good job at holding up, so we'll see how it ends up doing. Tomorrow, I think we might just consolidate. There could be a little bit more upside coming, but I think it's going to consolidate, retest 220, trade sideways in this range, and maybe try to push a little higher. That depends on if we could hold above 214. But for the most part, I think we're going to get a sideways day tomorrow approaching CPI and possibly some upside because we do have a tendency of kind of approaching it. So we'll see how things go. I anticipate sideways price action with a little bit of upside as the most likely case. I think SPY is looking a little bit more bullish on the 4-hour time frame. I presume that what could be happening is we may start off with the dip tomorrow, then continue higher. I think we could slowly push up to about 548, maybe a little bit higher, then come back down, and then see some consolidation. There might be a little bit of upside, then consolidation tomorrow. And then whether or not this continues depends on a lot of different factors, such as what we get from CPI and also all these other pieces of news. So I do anticipate a little bit more upside, maybe some consolidation after that, and then we'll see how things end up developing from there. Looking at Nvidia, we're riding our trend line very nicely. I think we could be approaching 108 again tomorrow. And we'll see if we break that or not. If that breaks, we're looking for 110. So I think 108 and 110 will be tested. We'll see what kind of reaction we get. But so far, we're favoring upside. Yes, it's doing a good job at pushing. We're going to be approaching resistance around this 5490 area, our 20 EMA. If that breaks, 5510 is likely coming as we look a little bit more bullish. For Bitcoin's looking a little bit more bullish as well. 58,000 is going to be a very, very nice target. We'll see if that breaks or not, but I think there's a good chance this may attempt to do so. So I think this looks a little bit more bullish to me. For NQ, I think that we're favoring upside a little bit. We could be looking for basically 18,777. This is going to be our 20 EMA. We'll see if that breaks or not to get close to about 19,000. I'm favoring a test of 18,777. If that breaks, we're looking for 18,850. We could break out a little bit higher, but then we'll see what the reaction is. We saw the QQQ make a nice move. This might have a little bit more upside potential if we hold above 455. Our next target is going to be around this 458 area, and we'll see if CPI helps or not. For Aapl, we have these wicks forming. We're basically looking for 222 as resistance. If that breaks, we're looking for 223. Our support to watch for is at 219. We're still range bound. It's completely range bound for now, so I think it may just continue to trade sideways. So give it some time. For the IWM, there's a little bit of potential on the 4-hour. If we hold above 208, we could be pushing for 212 again. If we lose to 208, we start dipping down to fill the gap. We'll see if this holds. This all depends on lots of different catalysts. So far, we're doing a good job. On AMD, we're looking for 139. If this breaks, we're looking for the 140s to be coming. If it rejects here, we're looking for 136 again. We're starting to break above this trend line, which is a good sign. So we'll see if this holds or not. But I see a test of about 139 tomorrow. If that breaks, we're going up to 140. There's potential, so we'll see how things go. For Coinbase, we look a little bit more bullish as we're riding this trend line to the upside. If we break 156, we're looking for basically this 160 area. We'll see if we break or not, but so far we're doing a good job at holding up. Amazon is holding up nicely. We're also holding above our key EMAs. So this looks like it might be trying to retest 178. We'll see if we break out or not. I did mention to you all we have kind of like we had an inverse like cup and handle like structure, but if anything, this is actually trying to break out to resistance. So we can't officially say this is rejecting or pumping because we're still technically in a range right now. So I think that we could push to the upper range, but we're not officially pumping out of that. We're not breaking out yet. We're just range bound on Amazon. So I'm just going to focus on the range for now. I think this is favoring 178, and we'll see if you reject or not. Meta is holding up decently. We got to try to get back above 506. Otherwise, we're just range bound. Might just see some sideways price action, but there's a little bit of potential for us to try to push through that. Microsoft dipped quite a bit. It dumped to about 402, but held support. Now we're testing 408 as resistance. If this breaks, we're looking for 410. So far, so good by Microsoft. For Google, We have this 150 areas resistance and 152.5. We also have support at 148. We're kind of stuck in the middle. We'll have to see if 148 holds, so give it some time. We'll see if we bounce, so give this some time. But I'm seeing a weakness on Google right now. We still have to reclaim 150. We haven't done that yet, so we will see if it reclaims that tomorrow. Otherwise, it's still range bound. So in my opinion, it looks to me like the market's attempting to rebound. I think that we may attempt to do it going into tomorrow, and I think that could help NIO try to break this resistance at the daily 200 EMA. So tomorrow we may start off a little bit lower, and then we may attempt to try to break 5.61. If that breaks, we're looking for the $6 area to be tested on NIO, as we have a nice double bottoms like structure and a bullish looking structure on the 4-hour time frame. Volume is looking good. The technicals are nice. Let's just hope we could continue to break this resistance before we continue higher. Let me show you the resistance one more time before I conclude this video. It's the daily 200 EMA. So I presume that NIO is going to try to break this as we look more bullish. That's what my view is. I thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day. I'll see you guys very soon. The next one by tomorrow. Get ready for some data. It's going to be very minor tomorrow, but then we're getting ready for CPI, which is coming out on Wednesday. So get ready for that. Until then, I thank you for listening. Have a great day and peace out.